Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper. Today I'll be reviewing Crash Bandicoot 2, which is basically, if you have the Insane Trilogy version of the game, it's this middle section of the game with like the snowy ice things here where it crashes. And well, with the original game of Crash 2 being released in 1997 for the original PlayStation, and the remastered version being a part of the Insane Trilogy, which was released back in 2017-2018. And the main plot of this story is that it basically continues a year exactly from the original game. So after you've beat Cortex in the original game, he will find these things called crystals, and then he asks for the help of Crash to find them throughout various levels. But you know, it's Cortex, so it's obviously he's up to some sort of evil scheme, and it's basically Crash goes through different levels that are basically themed. So you've got your wood levels, you've got your snowy levels or ice levels, you've got your sort of like techno levels, which are basically those the final few levels in the first Crash game, and so on and so forth. And you basically break boxes, collect gems, do time trials to get the platinum relics, and so on and so forth. Well, only in the Insane Trilogy that you can actually do the time trials. You couldn't do them in the original Crash 2, but I know you could do them in the Insane Trilogy version. And I think that Crash 2 is a large improvement over the original Crash, because in Crash 1, you could collect various gems, or two different kinds of gems. The first being like clearless gems, which were the most common ones, and you can only collect them once you've beaten the level and broken every single box that was in the level. And for the color gems, you can only get those gems if you, I think, broke every single box without dying. And Crash 2 makes a large improvement over the gems, because with the gems, depending on which level you play, you can either collect 1 or 2 gems. Now, some of the levels have you acquire 1 clear gem, and some levels have you collect 2 clear gems, and some levels have you collect 1 clear gem and 1 color gem. And if you want to collect the color gems, you basically have to find them in specific levels, and they could require you going to a specific level, and then you going to a specific area of that level, and then warping to a hidden section of a previous level that you might not have been able to get, because you might not have unlocked the new level to get that color gem. And I think there's a large improvement over the original game, because now you can just have a lot more experimenting with, like, oh, okay, I'm in this level, what can I do here, and how can I get the color gem in, let's say, the very first level of the game or something. Even though I don't think the first level has a color gem, it's just an example of how you can try and find the different colored gems. And that's a large improvement of the original, because that if you wanted to collect the colored gems in the original game, you did have to try and play through the level, you know, first time. But if you did die, you had to like restart the level, and it would require you to like try and remember the level, and also remember where all the jumps are, where all the crates are, where all the secret bonus stuff crates are, that sort of thing. But with Crash 2, it's a large improvement, and yeah. And also, you get to face off some old villains and some new villains as well, in terms of bosses. With the first boss being a repeated villain, or repeated boss from the first Crash game. And then I think that's Ripperoo. I think it's the guy in the straitjackets in the first Crash game, in which you have to use TNT to blow him up. And his boss fight is a large improvement over the original one, because the boss battle is basically similar to the first one in the first game, but for this one, it's basically the platform's large now. It's basically this giant square, which is a huge improvement. But also, Ripperoo also uses a cane to basically jump about the platform and basically just creates TNT and nitro boxes, which are a new kind of box, which if you hit will explode on impact and you will lose a life. And I think that's really cool and interesting because it makes you think about how you're gonna jump, where you're gonna land, and how you're not going to be able to how you're going to try and avoid those nitro boxes. And with Ripperoo, he uses his nitro boxes for his boss fight, in which he'll jump around the stage, and then the nitro boxes will explode, and then he'll get dizzy. Then you can hit him. So, and again, that's a large and a better improvement over the original game. And the levels, the way you can play them, are completely different to the ones in the original game. Because in the original game, you were more of on a straight path. It's more or less the same in Crash 2, but for this, instead of just being on an island and you just going through each level, just completing one, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one, for Crash 2, you'll be in this room that's a set of different themes. So like I said before, you've got icy levels, wood levels, techno lab levels, that sort of thing. But you can do them in any order you want, which I think is a nice thing, because then you can like go to one level, then let's say the first level, then you might go to like the 5th level or the 3rd level or something like that. And I think that's a really cool and nice, interesting way to play the game, and you just like playing through each level and seeing how you can beat the level and try and collect the gems and that sort of thing. And now it's time for some gameplay. So, what I like about the gameplay in Crash 2 is that if you're in like the sort of hub world, you can choose some of the levels that you've played before in any order you want. And I think this is one of the few games that allows you to choose which levels you can do in any order you want. And then once you've beaten a particular boss, so for this area, it's the Komodo brothers, you can basically just go upwards, which puts you into a new section, and that means more levels, more crystals, more gems to collect, that sort of thing. And then you can also like go downwards, like to a previous level. And also, if you go to like, what I like about how in the game is like, I think in one of the levels, I think in the second area, you can basically just go and find a way where you can go to like the warp room, and these are basically just rooms in which you'll go to different levels. So far I've only found one of these secret areas that makes you go to here, because each level, or some levels, will have a hint or something like that. They'll tell you, oh, if you do this specific thing, you'll go to the warp room, and then you'll go into a particular area of the level. So why don't I show you or show you how the main gameplay works. So let's go with Turtle Woods as an example. And I like how you are given specific hints to earn certain gems, or how to like beat certain levels, that sort of thing, and I think it's really nice. So like in Crash 1, the original gameplay is still there. You can jump, you can spin, but you can also do a sort of like slide and crouch ability. So this is how you like crouch, basically press circle and you do basically crouch, and yeah, and there we go. And yeah, it's basically normal Crash stuff. You collect Wumpa fruits to basically just earn extra lives, that sort of thing, after you collect like I think 99. And also you throughout the levels you can collect Aku masks. I think that's the guy who follows you, like the mask that's above my shoulder. I think that's what he's called, Aku, or Uka. I think it's Aku, Uka, I think. I'm not 100% sure. And also you can find crates which give you more invisibility stuff, and you can go find extra levels. And for this one, you can do a sort of like belly flop, which I think is nice. I think is a nice new move. And then and then you can basically just do certain stuff, destroy more boxes, that sort of thing. You can spin them, destroy them if you want. And then you see, and there's also new enemies in the game. It's like a new variation of the turtle in the game, which is basically one with spikes. And then these guys, which I think were only used in one level of the game. I think 1 or 2 levels. One of them being a harder level, one of them being, and another one being a another level in I think towards the end of the game. And that's how you can basically try and get to the end or get to that particular platform. And also the nitro crates, if I show you, don't touch them unless you have a Nuka Uka mask or Aku Aku. But if you do want to try and find a way of destroying all the nitro crates, there will be a green box. So basically a green box which you can hit, which would destroy all of the nitro crates while on a specific level. So I kind of messed up there, because you will need to stay, if you want to get all of the crates that are on these 2 platforms. You will have to stay on this one, then slide, jump onto here, then slide again to get onto the top of that one. But you can only do it before the ostriches move the bodies. So for this one, just hit the crate, that sort of thing. And also, if you push triangle, you will see how many lives you've got, how many Wumpa fruits you've got, and how many crates there are on the level, and how many that you've destroyed. So I think that's really cool. The only thing that was taken out of Crash 2 was the amount of crates that you missed. Because if you play Crash 1 and you beat a level in that game, you were told how many boxes you had missed by showing you all the crates going on to Crash or hitting him. And they kind of took it out of that game, which I think is it's sort of a good thing, and sort of I think I'm kind of split on that part, because it's mainly because I'm kind of split because I think it's a good exclusion, of not telling you how many boxes you've missed. But it would have been nice, because because in Crash 1, in which you are shown how many crates you missed, you do see him just hit, you can kind of see him being hit. I've just got an extra life now because I've collected a lot of Wumpa fruit. And so that's been it for. Oh, and also I almost forgot. In the first level, you can defeat these mole things, which I think is quite interesting and nice. And also quickly talk about the bonus levels. I think Crash 1 did better in the bonus levels, mainly because you have to collect certain tokens in order to access the bonus levels. Well, with Crash 2, you can just see a warp pad to a bonus room, and then you just go to that particular bonus room. It would have been nice if you collected tokens to access the bonus room in this game, like how you did in Crash 1, but that's just my opinion. It would have been better if you could collect tokens in the game, in the sequel, and then you would have been able to find those tokens. So that's been it for the gameplay. Now time to go back to the review. So, as I said before, in the game you have to collect crystals, and I think these are nice collectibles, because they add more collectible things to the games, and it's a really cool and interesting way to find new things and trying to find them, because they can be found throughout each level, and within the game you have to basically collect certain amount of ones before you can fight a particular boss and then move on to the next area, which I think is nice, because I think these crystals are some interesting things to collect, because you can basically find them in areas you might not know where you might notice them. For example, in I think one of the levels, I think it's a level that has the rolling ball from the original game. You have to basically just run away from the rolling ball, and then you'll spot one, I think during a checkpoint area, I think, and then you collect that one, and then you can move on to the next one. And yeah, it's really cool and interesting. And also, because I've been playing the Crash 2 on the Insane Trilogy, there's also the time trials. Now, the time trials were a thing in Crash 3, but they were brought over to the Insane Trilogy. And I think the time trials that are added into Crash 2 and 1 are nice inclusions, because they basically have you try and just basically get through each level at a specific amount of time. So, and you're given different relics. So, one level you might have to collect, or the times might be different. So one level you might have to get a platinum relic at 2 minutes, another one at 1 minute 30. I think that's the gold one, for example. And let's say the sapphire relic is it's a minute or something. So that's just an example. I'm not saying some of the levels are like that. That's just an example I am putting out there as an example for the time trials. And I think the time trials, are quite interesting, quite a challenge if you're a completionist, because you will have to try and go through each level at a fast time and try and get as fast. We'll get to the end of the level as fast as you can, so you can get that platinum relic. And yeah, I have tried with the first level in the first game of trying to get a relic. I've only got the sapphire, because it's just because I want to try and get a relic. But yeah, I think the time trial relics are a nice inclusion to the game. And if I had to put my final verdict of Crash 2, I think it's a huge improvement over the game. I think that overall, a huge improvement over the original Crash game, because you can do a lot more moves. For example, in Crash 2, you can do a sort of crouch and sometimes slide. You can do a slide if you're running, and then you press the circle button. And if you're just going underneath a certain amount of crates, you'll just crawl along the ground. And I think the crouch is a huge improvement, because then you're given more height. Because there's some levels in which you can use the crouch to your advantage. For example, I think in the first level of the game, you can basically go to this bonus area. I think it's either in the bonus area of the game, or it's in another area that has this sort of stone face on it. There's a sort of cavern stone face entrance thingy, where you can see ostriches, 2 large ones to be in fact, and you can use their bodies to get to the higher platforms and defeat or destroy the crates that are on those platforms. But the ostriches do lower their bodies after a few seconds. So I would say try and try and slide as fast as you can onto the ostrich, slide again, jump onto the platform so you can destroy the crates. And yeah, I think this is a huge improvement. Well, the second game is a huge improvement over the original. I think if you've got a PlayStation or a Switch, or I think PC or Xbox or something. I think this is because I know that you can play the Insane Trilogy on several consoles. But yeah, I think if you've got any of those consoles, I highly suggest getting the Insane Trilogy so you can play these games, including Crash 2, stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's really enjoyable. So that's been my review for Crash Bandicoot 2, which is actually named Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, which is the full title of the game. But, you know, I've just been calling it Crash 2 just so I wouldn't have to say the entire title out repeatedly over and over again. So yeah, so that's been my review for Crash 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.